welcome back to another podcast with Denise and myself. It is called Transform and Transcend. And we did take a week off, but we are back. And tonight, actually, before that, I am a relationship coach, author. And if anyone ever needs help in getting unstuck and would like a 15-minute consultation, it's totally free. Just go to my website at www.concepta.life, or you can just do concepta.life and you'll get it there. And Denise, you can share what you have to offer also before we get started.
Okay. I'm Reverend Denise Roberge, generally called Denise. I became a reverend late in life, and Denise is just fine. My practice is called One Mind Spiritual Guidance, and my website is onemindspiritualguidance.com. I do metaphysical work, mentoring, spiritual counseling, Reiki, energy work, teaching, retreats, lots of different things. I been at it for a while. So I also offer 15-minute free consultations to anybody, and you can reach me through my website as well.
Wonderful. So I'm going to take it back. So tonight we're going to be touching on the word grace, which is a lot more than just a word, and also meditation and prayer and meditation. So I did write a couple of words here that I would just like to share. Amazing grace is about redemption, forgiveness, and a transformative power of grace. It reflects the journey for the state of sin and despair to finding hope and salvation through God's grace. And then there's one other aspect that I absolutely love. I like this even better than what I just read. Grace is an unearned, unconditional love and kindness that flows into our lives, often when we least expect it. And for me, being in recovery, without grace, I don't know what I would have without being able to use it. I use it when I work with couples. I use it when I work with other people to just help them. I truly believe grace is the quiet strength that carries us through, difficult times or ups or downs. So I'm going to give Denise a chance to share her thoughts on it.
Okay.
Over to you.
Thank you. Grace is an unmerited gift, and we can look at it from a human perspective and a spiritual or metaphysical perspective. Grace is a flow of unconditionality, as Connie mentioned, of unconditional acceptance, unconditional love, unconditional kindness. And grace shows up when, as Connie and I spoke a little bit before we started, and she brought up a really good point, that it's related to forgiveness, although they are really two separate things, but they're connected. When some person makes a mistake or says something untoward or uncomfortable for me, but I can recognize they're just being human in that moment, and they're not really trying to bother me or upset me or hurt me, and I can just let it go. To me, that's grace. Just letting someone be who they are and not taking things personally, and just kind of like being in acceptance and flow is a form of grace. I also believe that grace is an unmerited gift from the Creator on a spiritual level. And I believe we're all born in grace. I believe we all have a divine template of the Creator energy. We are an emanation of the Creator energy. So because we already have grace as part of our divine template, grace will flow to us. And the divine knows what we need, knows what we want. And sometimes just because we are love, grace is love, Creator is love, all these energies are all love, we just get bestowed with gifts. So sometimes I know when I was still using and doing engaging in, what's the word I want to look, difficult, problematic and dangerous behavior, there were times when I was in jackpots and just got plucked right out for no good reason. I got just the creator energy in me create combined with the creator energy from wherever it comes from, just said, nope, this isn't for you. You don't need to get killed right now. We're gonna get you out of this situation, steps. And it's an energetic thing. It's not a verbal thing. I'm explaining it with words because that's how we speak as humans, but it's an unspoken, and it's often not until after you receive the grace that you realize, oh my God, it feels like luck. It feels like a blessing. It feels like a miracle sometimes. And what it is grace. It's just grace, our grace connecting with the grace that is of eternity, and us receiving it. So when miracles happen, they look like miracles, but it might be just the grace that's within us, and the part of us that is the emanation of the creator.
I
Makes
think
it.
that the song Amazing Grace really speaks volumes about
Mm,
I was blind, but now I see, saved a wretch like me.
yes.
That that's a beautiful, beautiful rendition of that.
It's a really good explanation, really, of what grace feels like. It feels like I didn't deserve that. I don't know why that goodness came to me, especially in earlier years when we're still struggling with our own identity, struggling with our own demons and all that. Um, we feel like wretches, although I don't believe we ever are. I believe we are always in touch with the divine, the divine within. But we feel that way as humans sometimes, like undeserved, we don't deserve, we're unworthy and all that. And then when something good happens, it's like, why did that happen to me? Why did that happen to me? I didn't deserve that. Well, we don't have to be deserving. We are God. We are part of God or creator energy or whatever you want to call it. And just because we get unmerited gifts for unconditional and with no expectation of reward or payment. It's just because we are loved and we are love. We are love and we are loved. So,
Yeah, really
that
not
I'm
something that
sorry.
can be controlled or commanded. It's just there. It's so free flowing, but our human brain wants to try and box it in instead of just
Mhm.
to to allow it. And I, looking back now, I would never say, "Oh, grace flew through me as a child." I never felt it. Never even knew what the word meant. I used
Oh,
to, and I don't even think I understood the meaning of Amazing Grace for years. But it really, like I said at the beginning, it's been the quiet strength.
mhm.
It's
It
carried.
really is. It's in it, and it's part of faith. It's part of trust. And even when we're in times of ups and downs, let's say, or the depths of despair or whatever, there's a part of us that always knows it's there.
Mm.
That part isn't necessarily in the front of our mind, but that free flowing energy of kindness and goodness and justice and all that is always there. And sometimes all it takes is just a refocus, and we recognize it. We go, oh, that's grace.
I
That's
think it allows us to even rise above the circumstances, whatever we're dealing with. If we can just go inside. And I think that prayer and meditation, I think, really helps with that by going inside. And of course, prayer is asking for help, and meditation is being quiet enough to hear the answers.
mm-hmm.
A lot of people say, I'm always praying, I pray and I pray. And I'm like, well, did you sit quiet? It's like, no, I didn't have time. It's like, okay, so when is the answer supposed? Sometimes in your sleep, sometimes just in your
Yeah.
quiet moments, driving a lot, driving and being in nature and in the woods. There's
Mm,
times I feel like I get downloads of something I was working on or thinking about.
yeah.
And to me, I would say grace is mixed up somewhere in that.
Grace comes through even when we're blocked. Grace is something that flows sometimes even when we don't feel like we're in connection or
How
that.
does someone nurture that, would you say, if you were to talk to someone that really knows nothing about it? Because with prayer and meditation, you actually sit and you pray and you meditate. If you're hungry, you eat. If you want something, you manifest. But as far as grace, how can someone that is blocked, doesn't understand it, how would you say that they should go about, unblocking that?
I think the continuous practice of appreciation and gratitude, um, focusing on the goodness in the world, focusing on the goodness that you do. We all tend to minimize the goodness that we are and the goodness that we flow into the planet. And to maximize our focus on the good that we are, um, helps us to being a better position energetically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, or whatever, to allow the grace to flow. The grace is always flowing. And
Sounds like it's the complete opposite from judgment and criticism.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So the more we free ourselves of self-judgment and judgment of others and uh, negativity and focus on the bad stuff in the world, the less we focus on that, the more open we are to receiving all goodness, all types of goodness, including grace. And we don't have to even earn the grace. Really, I have had the experience of being in the depths of despair and being lifted out, and I didn't even know how or why.
Yeah, I
And
do think
grace
it's
is a
flowing.
little bit more mysterious when it happens because
I
it's a
think I
big
really believe
deal. You don't know why.
it's flowing through us just like our breath is.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. And sometimes we can even try to block it, but grace is so powerful that we'll only be able to block it for so long because it's going to come through anyway. It'll come through anyway.
It's actually a beautiful thing.
It's really a wonderful thing, and the more time we spend in affirmative prayer, the more time we spend just recognizing our own beliefs. Like, for example, so if I spend time every day saying, I know I'm an emanation of the eternal light and love that is the creator. If you think about things like that, and
Mm.
I know I'm guided, I know I have guides, I know I have angels, maybe, whatever it is you believe in. I know I have Jesus for all the many Christians out there. I know I have Jesus. I know Jesus is with me all the time. When you remember that you're bigger than your body and you're bigger than your human experiences, and just magnify your vision by claiming those truths, it's a way to open yourself up. And meditation and prayer both can serve to relax the mind enough, because when we're gripping, we can't receive anything in our hands, right? If our hands are like this, we can't open them and receive. So we relax ourselves, we slow down our nervous system when we meditate, we do some breathing, and whatever we do from there is great, whether we're listening to music or we're meditating at a river, we're sitting in the woods, whatever it is we're doing to relax ourselves and to connect with greater energies. Nature is a great energy
Mm.
to bask in, and it slows us down. We get the negative ions. We get, it's a wonderful way to
My
meditate
happy
on what's
place.
good in the world.
My
Mhm.
happy, my happy place.
Yeah, mine
I
too.
I have a question for you that kind of bridges into what we're just talking about. So, how does prayer function as a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms? And what impact does it have on manifesting grace in our lives?
Well, first of all, we don't have to work at manifesting grace, but we can put ourselves in a place where we're more ready and able to recognize it. It's
Yeah.
always flowing. So we're not trying to manifest it, but we're trying to be open to it. Prayer, there are so many different kinds of prayer. There's and if I spend all my prayer time asking for what I want, that is good. We want the universe to know what we want, what we desire. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we spend all of our time doing that and not much of our time opening ourselves up to guidance, not acknowledging that we're greater, that the greater powers that be that interact with us on a minute by minute basis, if we don't raise our thought that big, at least some of the time. We don't have to live there, but we have to visit that place that's peaceful and that's grander than us, and an energy of unconditionality. If we spend some time like that in meditation and prayer, and one way we can do it through prayer is through what I call affirmative, what people call affirmative prayer, which is acknowledging the goodness that already is. So in an affirmative prayer, I might say something like, um, I know that I know that as a human, there are things I think I can't do, but I know you can. So thank you. Thank you in advance for helping me with whatever. So I'm affirming that I know grace exists. I know guidance exists. And that's opening me up to it. So affirmative prayer is also acknowledging the goodness, like it's gratitude prayer, sort of. It's like, my life is good. That's prayer. I have great friends. Um, I love how my business is unfolding. Um, I really enjoy and I thank you for the home I live in, for the car I drive. It can be that simple.
Yep.
And if you can't come up with grand things, come up with a whole bunch of little ones. I had a great lunch, oh, thank you. And one of the practices I think is really important is being grateful for the food you eat and being grateful for the whatever the beverages you drink, because then we're also calling in the powers and the energies of the earth, because most of what we eat and drink comes from the earth, except for it comes from laboratories. And I try not to eat that or drink that. But
I almost think like what you're describing about taking time out for yourself, it's almost like your car needs fuel. Our
yeah,
body needs that. It's
oh,
like food for the
absolutely.
soul or food for the mind, food for the heart.
Mhm. Yeah, focusing on what's good is not easy in a negative world. I mean, it's easy to focus on the negativity around us. Sometimes it's harder to find the goodness, but the goodness is always there. There's always something to be grateful for. There's always something to be thankful or appreciate. Now, sometimes but once in a while, I'll get my hair done. My daughter will do my hair, and I'll think it looks so beautiful. Now, it's not egoic. I don't feel like, wow, aren't I a great beauty? But I do go, wow, look what my daughter did with my hair. Now, I did this. She didn't. I'm not gonna. I did this one, but I'll go, look at her. She's a magician. She can do things with my hair that I have no idea how to do. And I can spend 5 or 10 minutes raising my vibration by being appreciative of my daughter's gifts and how it affects me and how I feel better when I'm walking around liking my hair. I feel better.
Absolutely.
Um,
You're admitting that everywhere you go.
and yeah, so there is no, in my opinion, there is no gradation of good. That means there's no little good, medium-sized good, great good. It's just good. It's just good. So whatever little things you focus on are just as important in the appreciation practice, I mean, as the grand things like, oh my God, I just won the lottery. I won $1 million. Ooh, do I appreciate that? Yeah, that's good. Appreciate that. Yeah, awesome. But
Better share it if you
the
did.
little ones work the same energetically. A good is a good is a good. Saint
Yeah.
Teresa of Lisieux teaches that. And also, I think Saint Teresa of Avila as well. So the saints teach things like that.
Yeah, when you find a penny, say thank you. When you find
Mhm.
something, thank you.
Never disregard. If you want to be abundant, if one wants to be abundant, one needs to love the pennies and the
Yeah.
nickels, and not love them
As
as
a
in love and power
energy.
of money, but as an appreciation tool.
Yeah. And it's
And
because
we magnify what we appreciate, and then we get more of it. So if we keep loving the pennies, we find, oh, thank you, penny, thank you, I manifested a penny, woohoo! Um, the dollars are coming. That's how the dollars come. They come through appreciating money,
yeah,
pennies.
it is. It's like a tunnel we open up and it just then it'll start to flow.
Yes, it is. It is, and it's easy to open if you recognize that you don't have to do grand things to deserve anything. You just have to do little things that make you feel happy, appreciative, um, and recognize the goodness in other people. Every time someone's acting up, if you can find a place of neutrality and just go, and just kind of observe what they're going through rather than get involved, rather than react, you're giving grace. And when you give grace, they're more likely to receive some grace, and the whole interchange can transform.
Yeah. And just
Grace is a transformative energy.
it's beautiful. It really is.
Oh yeah, it's
And
a
it's free.
wonderful, and it's absolutely free, and it's unmerited, and you don't have to be a perfect person to receive it. No one is perfect anyway, and no one in a human body is perfect.
Perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect. That's right. So I had a couple of questions for you too, Connie. I'm gonna
If
refresh.
we haven't, we might have already answered them, but go
We
ahead.
may have. We may have. Um, oh, I like this one. I like them all. Okay, how does the concept of grace influence the way we interact with our partners, especially during conflicts and challenges?
I'm laughing because if you asked me this yesterday, whew, I did not have any grace in responding to my honey yesterday.
Oh my,
I know. Well, you know what? It was
human, that's human.
I was I had four clients back to back and I was hungry.
Oh,
And it was through a text we were dialoguing. So we resolved it because we've known each other well enough at this point. But it really is about respecting the other person. And at the end of the conversation last night, it says, honey, you can't just dump all these videos and stuff at me and expect me to know what you're thinking. And because I'm receiving it very differently.
right.
Because first of all, it's a text. And no one should ever have any deep conversation via text. But it's a matter. So I basically just said, you know what? I love that we are doing this work and we're talking about it. Well, you just need to check in with me if this is a good time for me to be available. Chances are I would have said no last night. Can I wait till tomorrow? But if you want to give me the cliff notes tonight, if you're really excited, you're busting through the seams or whatever. So it really is a matter of like being respectful of the other person.
Mm.
I did end up apologizing for being such a bitch with my response because I'm like, good for you, glad you're happy, blah blah blah, and it's like I was not very
You're
nice.
a little sassy, were you?
I don't know if that was the word. I was not present. I was hungry. I was cranky and tired. And he was already at home, doing his thing. And my work is much more physical. His is mental, and mine is some mental too. But I actually get energized from the mental work I do with coaching. But the massage can be pretty heavy. So
Mhm.
I almost forget what you asked, but I think I've touched on it. It really
Yes,
is.
you did. That was a perfect description of an instance where you could
You
have been
might
more
be
grace
bursting,
filled.
yeah, you might be bursting through the seams to like let your partner in, and you might think, oh my God, I want to connect, I want to connect. And you dump it on them thinking you're connecting. Meanwhile, you're like interrupting. So it's
Hmm.
really important to say, listen, I got something real.
Is this a good time?
Yeah, exactly. And it really, and that way you're together because the person is saying, yes, it is a good time, or no, it's not a good time. Can we do this tomorrow? And then he was saying, okay, I'll just, because, and this didn't work either because he's like, okay, I won't do that. We'll talk about it on the weekend. I'm like, no, 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 no. I want our weekends to be fun, not all these deep, heavy therapy conversations. So it's like just check in with me, during the week. And it's learning about how to be in a relationship because we don't live together. So I think we still have a lot to learn, but it starts with respecting the other person.
I know that there are times when I offer my regular mentor clients, I meet with them either once a week or every other week. And as a little bit of grace, I guess you could call it, I offer a free 15-minute consult between sessions if they need it, because sometimes stuff we do in the session comes back up and needs clarification or whatever. So I offer a free 15-minute session. So if someone blasts it all at me in a text and I'm unable to return it make a call or return the text or whatever at that moment, I'm left feeling kind of heavy and like
Yep.
pulled in a different direction. I might be involved with another client, or I might be involved with a family member, or I might be involved in some kind of work, or I might be taking a nap. I don't know, whatever. I might be doing something that's important for me. And I can't deal with it. I don't have, for whatever reason, I don't have what it takes to deal with it, but it sits on my head. And So I have now I explain to people that text me that you would like to talk to me at my earliest convenience.
Hmm.
Unless it's an emergency. And if you're like ready to kill yourself, yeah, which I don't get anymore. I don't get clients that are like that anymore, that are suicidal. I very almost, it almost never happens anymore, but it has happened. And then I'm going to drop everything and, call the person if it's that dire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, I tell them right up front, it's at my convenience that I get back to you because I have a schedule. I have things I'm not going to interrupt one client in order to answer you, call you. I can't do that. I mean, it's not fair. So anyway, I think that's a respectful thing to do, to say, is this a good time? Are you available? And available means emotionally available, physically available. When I'm hungry, forget about it. I'm not talking about anything heavy. Mm-mm. I can't. All I can think of is I gotta eat. That's all. I I
But
am I get low blood sugar and I get me. You don't even want to talk to me that
if
way.
I planned to eat, I need to eat.
Hmm.
I can be interrupted and stay hungry. So a question for you that I did jot down here. What is the metaphysical significance of grace, and how do we experience it in our daily lives? You probably already touched on this, but
Touched on some of it. Yeah, we did. But I would like to talk a little bit more about the multidimensional nature of the human,
please.
because that's where grace comes through. Grace comes through many dimensions. If you think about it, the creator energy is immense and infinite. And as humans, we are not immense and infinite as humans. However, because we are born from this infinite and immense energy, we're always connected to it, whether we recognize it or not. And sometimes we recognize it and sometimes we don't. And that's human and that's okay. And it's not a bad thing. It's just how it is as humans. We live in a certain amount of density. We can't always find our light bodies to transcend whatever's going on in life and connect with the oneness of all that is. However, it's always there. So we can experience it in our daily lives by committing to a daily practice of some sort. And I would not want to tell someone exactly how to do it or what to do because it's a creative experience between you and it's personal. I could give suggestions though, and a few suggestions might be, um, do something before you get out of bed in the morning that makes you feel good. It makes you feel happy and makes you feel
Or
connected.
you reach out for your phone and start looking.
Before you put a foot on the floor. And if you have to go to the bathroom real bad, you can still take 5 seconds to go, today's going to be a good day. Thank you. Thank you for guiding me. And then go to the bathroom. What I do, I come back to bed because I do a great meditating and praying in bed. That's in the morning, first thing before the computer goes on, before I answer the phone, before I eat, before anything, before I take my dog out, I connect. So I connect through appreciation. That's the first thing I do. I talk about whatever it is that happened yesterday that I appreciate, or that right now, oh, I appreciate my bed. Sometimes I even appreciate my bed.
Love my bed.
Love my bed. Oh, it's cool tonight. I get to wear my blankets. Oh, it feels so good. And it's that simple because I am that's an energetic increase in my spiritual being. So my physical body can energize my spiritual body. So that's what I want to do. And other things that I do, um and people can do however they want. I oh, I have some deceased loved ones that I connect with. And one of them's my father. So almost every morning I go, "Good morning, Dad," and I visualize myself giving him a hug and a kiss.
Mm.
It's quick, just a second, but it brings me up. It brings me up. I love knowing my dad's still there. It makes me feel good. Um, if I did a channeling the night before and some of the angels and guides are still with me, I can feel it. I can sense them. I say, "Oh my God, thank you. Oh my, it was so wonderful that you came to me last night." Sometimes it's a grand thing that I'm appreciating, and sometimes it's a little thing. but appreciating is where it's at, and thanking for all the grace and recognizing, think about your day, the night, the day before, or your night's sleep, or what happened a week ago, whatever. It doesn't even matter when. Just think about a moment that you were in complete joy or in complete relaxation or in complete bliss. Even if it was a long time ago, bring it back and remember the feeling. Think about that feeling. So raise your vibration, raise your thought, and so much good can flow. It just opens up all the pathways, opens up the chakras, it opens up the energy systems, and so much more can flow. Um, every time I walk by, this is another thing outside nature. Every time I walk by my stream, I have a little stream in my neighborhood. Everyone has something that they love in their neighborhood or out in their woods or out in the path that they walk or whatever. Find something in nature that inspires you. So water and running water inspires me. Any kind of water, any kind of puddles inspire. I love water. I just love water. It's my mission to help the water. So every time I walk by my stream, I say, I I bless you. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate all that you do for this earth. And and through you, I bless all the waters of the earth.
Mm,
That's my prayer for all the waters of the earth, because where would we be without water? Where
yeah.
would we be? We wouldn't be anywhere without water. It's an essential, absolutely essential part of being human. And I also sometimes thank the wisdom that I believe is in the water. I believe water is wise. I believe it's an energy, you know. So I have a multidimensional angle to it as well, but it could be any dimension. It doesn't have to, you know.
And
So
tree has a beautiful heart that I know you talk to.
oh, my tree does have a heart, and I connect with that heart every single morning. I see that heart, and I do this, and I in my mind I'm seeing energy going back and forth between our hearts, my tree's heart and my heart.
I
So
see a lot of trees when I'm out in the pond that I walk in, and the roots. I love to like stand on the roots and as they come by and just trying to connect with that.
you're
It's
connecting with the tree energy.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And I
That's
love the saying that Wayne Dyer talked about one time. He's like, no two branches are foolish enough to fight among themselves. And
mm,
imagine if humans could adopt that for like a day or two or a week.
wouldn't
Yeah,
that be
there is
great?
so much, and the brain a lot of times wants to. I don't think for us so much so because we are in recovery and we know what it's like to live in hell.
Hmm.
And I think we've also learned that it's a choice whether or not we want to stay looking at the dark or choose to bring in the lightness. But yet the typical mind wants to go to the what if and wants to go. So I think, like you said, starting your morning with something that's
Something positive, upbeat.
positive. Yeah, before you even turn the TV on, if you turn the TV on, I try not to, but before you even connect with what pain is going on around you. And
Mm,
grace is what carries you through that pain. It'll help you rise above it. Most
absolutely.
circumstances.
Inspiring music is a really great tool as well. It doesn't have to be religious. It doesn't have to be spiritual. Sometimes I listen to a song. I don't even agree with the words. I don't even really like the message all that much, but the harmonies or the various uh, uh, instruments, the way they come together, I feel, I hear, and it raises me up. And there are some gospel songs that religiously I'm not necessarily in line with what the words are. I mean, it's not necessarily, it doesn't reflect my spiritual or religious beliefs, but the sounds and the harmonies bring me to another place. I get goosebumps, I get shivers, I sing at the top of my lungs, I sing things I don't even believe in, but actually what I do now when I hear a song that I love and I don't believe in the words, I think about that and I think, what is it about that that I can get into, that I can believe, that I can relate to? Because even if I don't believe in all the whole message, there's a part of it that does resonate as true. Otherwise, I would not be having that glorious experience. So
Mm.
I might have to look for it. But I love music. Music, I think, is a healing tool.
I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I got to spend some time with a friend that I've known for years. And he had a friend that came over And I have never felt so drawn to the sound of a saxophone than I
Oh,
have in my entire life. I was videoing a lot of it, little snippets. I must have listened to those over and over and over again. There is something, and you just talked about sound. I'm not into the big gospel with everyone chanting and singing. To me, there's too many energies there.
mhm.
But to listen to the saxophone, and my friend was playing the guitar,
Oh, it's very soulful. The saxophone is very soulful.
wow, is all
It
I can
is.
say. I'm
And
like,
it's got a resonance that I think it's a heart-based
this
sound.
guy was a professional.
Mm. Oh, live music is the best.
Yeah.
And all music is a wonderful way to bridge you from here to there. I like Appalachian music because it's simple but yet harmonious, and there's a lot of elements to it that are not complicated, but they're intertwined in such a way that I just feel it, like the banjo. I know it sounds silly because
I
I
love the Hawaiian guitar and I love
oh yeah.
the drums and the bowra. There's so many. It's funny. I was talking about music recently, and my sister has not wanted to listen to any music because it reminds her of the loss of her partner for of 18 months. And I'm looking forward to the day that she can actually hear them and smile instead of cry and have it be
Yeah.
something. But sometimes music can bring up pain. But I think that's all part of the healing process.
Oh, sure it is. And I when people hear at a funeral, I've done some been
Danny Boy, Amazing Grace.
oh my God, Danny Boy. Yeah, oh my.
I'm putty. I mean,
We
there,
need music that makes us cry. How many of us have trouble crying or connecting with our sadness? Many do, and we need to cry. It's helpful. It's healing. It's a good thing.
the
But
release
the other thing is a military. Have you ever been to a military funeral?
bagpipes,
Taps and the bagpipes and such. Oh my, oh my.
bagpipes start to walk away and it fades off into the distance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a peak experience for me.
Yeah. Bagpipes are definitely connect to sadness, but the saxophone, no sadness,
Pure
pure
soul.
joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whatever music people are attracted to is probably what they need. They probably need that rhythm, or they need that harmony, or they need that drum, or they need whatever it is about that song is healing. And even heavy metal. I don't particularly care for heavy metal, but I have spoken at length with people that love heavy metal, and they feel that the darkness in them is being drawn out through the music.
Mm.
They don't necessarily agree with or want to magnify any negative messaging. They just feel like it's pulling darkness out of them by listening to that type of music, that
Touching
the
that part.
craziness or the insanity or the frenetic energy or the anger or whatever that's being expressed is inside of them, and it brings it out, and they find it healing. I have a family member, a very close family member, who has anger issues that he's worked on a lot, and he's made a lot of progress, but he goes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
Mm.
because he is calmer and less prone to anger when he gets beat up.
Mm.
When he gets into those BJJ fights, and they're brutal. He gets hurt, he gets bruised ribs, he gets, all kinds
My
of,
trainer is black and blue almost every time I see him because he does that twice a week.
and he doesn't care how much it hurts because it feels so freeing for him. And honestly, I do not relate to that. I don't like physical pain. It doesn't do a thing for me. I don't like physical pain.
Well,
But
we've tapped into other aspects of awakening our pain. We don't need to get bruised on the
I
outside.
have plenty of other kinds of pain, right? Exactly. But it's a real thing. It's a real thing. People that wrestle and fight and do play football and do stuff that I don't understand. I don't understand why you would want a 350-pound linebacker knocking you down and getting on top of yeah. Why? Why? I'm that's how I feel about it. But other people are like, oh, it's so they just it's so whatever works, whatever brings you peace or joy or thrills or your
Or wakes you up, fires you
well,
up.
I was just going to say it's a dopamine, a serotonin, like a hormonal
Don't
response.
bring it into a bar room or on the street. Do it in a
Right.
controlled environment where
I
people
know.
are in agreement with fighting, sparring with you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, fighting is a funny thing because I know someone who has such a heart for the underdogs in the world, the people that are bullied or the LGBTQ community. If he sees any big people bullying, oh, he has in the past, not lately, but in the past, when he sees bullying on a person that's a weaker,
Mm.
he stands in that person's place and goes, "Why don't you pick on someone that's an adult? Why don't you give it to me,
Good
hit
for
me, hit me." And he is absolutely willing to take a punch or a kick or a beating to save someone else.
and
That's grace. That's grace. That it's weird to me. I don't quite get it. I can't relate to it, but I honor it because it's a path. It's a path for him. It's a path.
and the path for that kid that was being bullied just changed its course in that moment.
Yes.
Having
Yes.
someone stand up for you, having someone be brave, having
Mhm.
someone, shield.
Someone willing to be the shield, willing to be the intermediary to help the situation. Yeah, I'm not I don't understand it for me, but I'm coming to understand that masculine way of doing things sometimes. And sometimes I get it. I understand mentally.
Yeah, we can appreciate it, maybe not
Yes.
understand it, and not be something that we do.
Well, I'm wondering if I have any more notes that I want to explore with you, Connie.
No.
Let's see. How, in your relationship coach, so this is a good one right here. How do you think prayer and meditation can strengthen a relationship, or how can the role of these practices foster deeper emotional connections and understanding?
Well, I really believe for a lot of people, even my partner, even though he's been around for 60 something years, he's still realizing now he's not in touch with all of his emotions. He's in touch with the main ones that he needs to. And it's hard to say to a guy, go pray and meditate. It's like, yeah, right, I don't have time. But really, as a couple is learning from the guy or girl, and it's usually male and female, but if it's two
It
females,
doesn't matter, two
yeah,
females, two males, whatever. Yeah.
it's just easy to say he and she. And I will ask each one of them, when do you feel the most centered? When do you feel you're, with yourself the most, and if you're busy and running, it's very personal because it's not black and white. It's not go pray and meditate and you'll find yourself kind of thing. It's not like that. But learning, about their background, where they come from, which I've always do prior to even seeing them, so I understand more than likely what they're up against and what does it take for you to get in touch with your emotions and feelings today. The
Mhm.
easiest ones a lot of times is anger. Everyone seems to have no problem getting in touch with that one.
Well,
You
men don't. I do.
Well,
Some
I
some
used,
women, some women do.
yeah, I struggled a lot with getting in touch with my anger years ago. Now I think, ask Steve, I did not have any problem getting in touch with it last night. Um, but and again, it's like, I work with this beautiful couple, and the female loves her freaking anger. It's her go-to.
Mhm.
But really, underneath anger, whether it's a male or female, there's a terrified child, as a scared little kid. And it's a matter of being able to, have the adult in them be able to understand that. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you've been through in your childhood, no matter what you've gone through, abuse, neglect, whatever the case may be, I will almost guarantee you no one has neglected and abused you more than you have since you left home. Or now, granted, you had teachers telling you how to be and how to not be, and you walked away with very distorted messages, which are, our belief systems, or I call them bullshit instead, because we walk away with these stories. And sometimes what we think is one way is absolutely the complete opposite from our belief system. So it's really a matter of taking the time to understand their wiring and what you're dealing with, and vice versa. And then you can, because you can't just say, okay, go home and meditate and find yourself and touch base with, it's like, yeah, right. Um,
Question for you though, if if a couple were going through a rough patch, and as a practitioner, as a therapist, coach that like you are, might it be a suggestion to say, where do you two feel the most peaceful together? Maybe you could visit that place, or maybe you could go on that nature walk, or go skiing, or whatever it is that you both feel really good about. Or maybe it's sitting in front of the TV watching a particular type of show or movie. I don't know. Is there some way, do you think that that can foster um, a relaxation in a couple if they make conscious choices to do things that feel good to both of them?
Yes, but I also think that sometimes the mind can be much stronger. You know how sometimes the mind was, well, I just need to understand why you did A, B, and C. And it's awful hard to kind of check out, leave that behind, especially if you're in early recovery. I could
Mhm.
be angry with Steve today and actually still go to a movie tonight with him because I've learned how to push that aside. But
I
I
see.
think in early recovery, it's almost impossible. It's like, and one of the things, like I work with people who either get ghosted or a relationship ended, and they have convinced themselves, I need to know why. This is a guy they might not have even known 7 weeks ago. And now
Mhm.
they're like not getting sleep because they're waiting for an answer from him. They've convinced themselves. And first of all, he's probably not going to be honest with you in the first place.
Yeah.
So if it's something like that, I do have them try and just sit with themselves without, and especially if you're a survivor, which some of my clients are, the not knowing triggers so much for us. You know, I need to know. And the thing is, we don't need to know. I have never to this day gotten an apology from anyone that's ever abused me. I've never gotten a penny of compensation from anyone that's abused me. And yet I have moved on and have created and found forgiveness. And I will never, ever let someone have that kind of control over me again. That I'm,
It took a lot of learning on your part
oh,
and
absolutely.
on my part. I mean, it was such a process, really, learning how to let go and surrender and be available for grace to enter, be available for the power of it.
But that's the thing. It's like, so when I'm sitting in front of someone, it might be good. Like that when I work with couples, I usually tell them, do not spend the rest of the afternoon together.
Oh.
Go separate ways early on.
Mhm.
Go separate ways. You go to work, digest what you learned, you digest what you learn, because chances are they're going to walk away hearing different messages. I mean, I'm going to
Uh,
take the time when I'm sitting in front of them to ask, what did you hear? What did you hear? You know, because I can understand what each of them are saying, but I can see with the look on their face that did not land the way.
mm,
So if they're like still at odds with each other and want to blame the other person, if they end up spending that afternoon together, they're going to destroy themselves instead of just taking a break.
mhm,
You go to work, you go to your corner and try to let a day or two go by and then regroup and have a nice afternoon and
mhm.
save your pain for, the coaching session. Save that heavy conversation. You don't need to address something now.
Mm.
Wait till you're in a more listening place. So
Learning to live in the unknown is a advanced skill. It's takes a while to learn that. Learning to live in the unknowable or the unknown or the
doing nothing sometimes is the hardest
Mhm,
thing to do.
mhm,
It's the
mhm.
same type of thing. It's like because you want
Yes,
you want to be in control.
right,
And the thing
right.
is, you don't need to be.
I think if everyone spent 2 minutes in prayer and 2 minutes in meditation every day, I think everybody would be better off. And they're
And
doing it in
Frank Amazing Grace as they're
crank
brushing
it.
their teeth.
Yeah,
We were
great.
going to sing it for you guys, but we thought, no, you might want
Yeah, we both decided today
to.
wasn't the day for you to hear the pleasure of our voices. Connie and I have never sung together. I don't know if it's ever going to happen because she's
I don't know how to sing. It's one of the few things that did not improve since I stopped drinking. I thought I could sing when I was drinking.
everyone can think they're singing when they're drinking, right? Oh, and you grew up in Ireland and in the pubs, everybody sings,
Oh,
right?
we have great sessions when I go back home. If the music is playing, my brother's a musician.
Mhm.
I love it, absolutely love it. I'll sing with other people, and I'll sing in the car, like you were saying, you do that.
I sing alone in the car. That I'm my favorite audience.
Well, it's time to wrap up another.
Ah, it is, isn't it?
If you have not already subscribed or shared or liked it, please do. Denise and I are still very early on in this journey, but we hope that you join us. And again, my website is concepta.life, and happy to talk with you. Complimentary 15 minutes to see if I'm a good fit for you, if I can help you over some obstacle. I would love to do that. I also have a couple of books that are available. One is called Freedom, Sirsha, and the other one is it's actually a formula to freedom. And they can be found on Amazon or BookBaby. Just look up my name and you'll find it, Concepta McNamara.
My book's not out yet, but I do have a website and I have a whole bunch of articles and videos that you could watch from my website. If you want, again, just like Connie, I do offer free consultations, no obligation, and I'd love to hear from you anytime. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Like and subscribe and have a great day, everybody.